Hello, welcome back, boys and girls. Today's story is called A Cat for Santa, written by Ferries. Now, in this remarkable story, a sweet little cat goes to live with Santa. How did that happen? Well, let's see what happens. Let's get started. Let me tell you what happened one day in the enchanted forest. The dark fairy was up to her tricks, and the kitten got lost and couldn't remember where she lived. And so it began. Four little kittens were outside their home looking for their mittens. The dark fairy came and turned into a blue butterfly. One of the kittens, a white one, began to chase the butterfly, as kittens will do. The butterfly led the kitten to a deep, dark well, and when the kitten jumped up on the well to catch the butterfly, it turned back into the dark fairy and startled her, and then she fell into the well. The fairy laughed and flew away. The kitten was at the bottom of the well, wet and scared, and she was crying. She had bumped her head on the way down. And it happened that day that the sugar plum fairies had come to the forest to visit their sister, the purple fairy, and they heard the kitten crying and flew to the well. The pink fairy waved her hand, and the kitten rose out of the well. She was now cold, wet, and scared. And the blue fairy asked, "Who put you in the well?" "I don't know. I remember chasing a blue butterfly, and then I found myself in the well," replied the kitten. And the orange fairy said, "I bet it was the dark fairy. She's wicked and likes to disguise herself in blue. I wish she was not our sister." Yes, besides the purple fairy, the dark fairy is also their sister. And the green fairy asked, "Where do you live?" And the kitten, still shaking from the cold, answered, "I don't know. I don't remember." And the orange fairy asked, "Would you like to live with us at the North Pole?" And the kitten said she would love to. And off they flew to the North Pole. The kitten magically flew too. Can you guess how that happened? Well, the fairies would have to visit their sister another day. And when they arrived, Miss Claus saw the kitten and said, "Oh, Santa loves kittens. He had a white kitten with green eyes when he was a little boy." And the fairies had a quick discussion amongst themselves. What do you think they're talking about? And then the blue fairy asked Miss Claus, "Would you like to take care of the kitten?" She replied, "Oh, yes, can I? Santa will be thrilled." And the green fairy said, "If it's all right with her." And the kitten looked at Mrs. Claus, smiled, and said, "Yes, I would like that." Mrs. Claus was overjoyed. And when they arrived home, Santa was surprised to see Mrs. Claus with the cat. And he asked, "Who might this kitten be?" And Mrs. Claus replied, "She doesn't have a name yet. I got her for you." And Santa laughed. "Thank you so much. I love cats. What should we call her?" And Mrs. Claus suggested, "How about Iris? Because our eyes are the color of the iris flower." And Santa laughed again. What a splendid name! Santa's dog, Fudge, was not sure having a cat in the house was a good idea. In a while, Iris and Fudge became best of friends. They often slept close together, not just to keep warm, but because they were friends. Iris helps around the house quite a bit. While making brownies, Mrs. Claus must keep an eye out for Jack Frost. He likes to tease her, and she's often busy baking, so she has Iris act as a watch cat. But that is not always for the best. As you know, cats like to take naps. A watch cat that is asleep is not watching. Now one day, Jack Frost thought it would be fun to trick Mrs. Claus. First, he knocked on her house door, and when she went to answer the door, he popped into the kitchen. Iris was fast asleep, dreaming of chasing snowflakes. Sadly, she's not a very good watch cat. And when Mrs. Claus came back, Iris had just woken up. Jack was still there, but the ingredients were not. He had hidden them. And she said, "Jack, where am I?" But before she could finish the question, Jack had disappeared laughing and said, "They are about, but they are not out." What a riddle. Now Mrs. Claus and Iris thought about the riddle. If they are about, they are near. If they are not out, they are in, said Mrs. Claus. Where do you think the ingredients are? In the kitchen, what is near, and could have something put in? Iris knew right away. The ingredients are in the cabinets, and she found them very quickly. And Mrs. Claus was very happy. Mrs. Claus did not think Jack's joke was funny, and that year he did not get any brownies. He has not pulled that trick since. Iris is also a big help to Santa, especially on Christmas Eve. She helps him load his sleigh. She shoots the gifts into his bag while he checks them off. Sometimes she misses, and Santa has to duck. And when they're done, Iris stands guard with a snowball cannon. Christmas goblins try to steal the presents before Santa can deliver them. Iris is a crack shot. Snowballs sting, and a goblin has not gotten a gift yet. And after a long day of loading the bags and sleigh, it is night time for Santa to deliver the gifts. The reindeer are hooked up to the sleigh and ready for the task ahead. And the orange fairy is there to cast the spell to help the reindeer fly further and faster than ever, and to hasten Santa on his trip. The north wind blows a big gust of wind, and the man in the moon looks on, smiling and shining brightly, lighting Santa's way. And after a long day helping Santa and Mrs. Claus, Iris is ready for a good night's sleep. Thank you for joining us again for this wonderful story time. We thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you soon.